How's it going, everyone? Rachel West here, and I'm joined by Rays beat reporter Mark Topkin, who's out in Arlington right now getting ready for Game 1 of the World Series. We're both virtually there right now, but I promise he's actually there. Mark, what's the atmosphere out there right now?
Well, the World Series is always really exciting, and it's always really hectic, Rachel. And obviously only the second time the Rays have been in it. I've been fortunate enough to cover both the '08 World Series when they were there and now this one, and a bunch of others when they weren't here. And I can tell you it's a lot more fun to cover when the team that you cover on a regular basis is involved. It's also interesting and kind of amusing how the world is suddenly discovering the Rays, and some of the questions that the Rays people have been asked, and even some of the questions I've been asked by our colleagues in the media are kind of, like I said, amusing is probably the polite word. But I think the Rays certainly belong to be here, and I think there's a lot of excitement is that they're kind of the anti-establishment team. I mean, the Dodgers are a long storied franchise. They're going to have a pretty good support base here, I think, amongst the fans. We'll probably talk about that in a minute, but just the idea that the Rays are the upstart team, and at least part of the country has no idea who these guys are, and I think they're going to get a pretty good introduction over these next few nights.
Yeah, for sure. And now this is kind of the first time the Rays just got to Arlington, first change of scenery they've had in a couple weeks. There's also the added element of fans in the stands for the first time for them all season. And on the other hand, LA's been playing in those conditions. So what, if any, advantages, disadvantages do you think there are there? And how do you think the Rays are going to be able to adapt to that?
I mean, first of all, the Rays are not going to make any excuses. And, I tried to find some excuses yesterday and asked a couple of the guys about it in the interview sessions. And they all said, no, we'll figure it out. But look, I mean, there's some basic things here. This is a brand new stadium. This isn't like, oh, you haven't been to a place in a couple of years, or you have a couple of players from a different league that are familiar with it. This is a brand new stadium. They've never been here at all. The Dodgers played here 3 times during the regular season, and then they played here 10 playoff games. They have been here for 2 weeks. So they've also been at the hotel. The Rays had to change hotels, all that stuff too. But just the actual physical stadium, it's artificial turf. Now, it's a similar turf to what's at the Trop, but it's artificial turf, which has always got some unique qualities to it, how fast the infield plays. They told us after their workout last night they thought it played pretty fast. And it's got a very interesting outfield. The outfield fence, it juts in and out. There's different heights. There's different areas. We've seen Mookie Betts, obviously, from the Dodgers, make that great catch the other night, robbing a home run. Pretty good chance you'll see Kevin Kiermaier, if he gets the chance, do the same. But it's not just your basic, boring, symmetrical field. There's a lot of things unique and different to it. It's got an open roof, retractable roof. It'll be open for these games. So you have some lighting issues because the lights are kind of around the perimeter, so the roof opens at the top. It's a little bit similar to Minute Maid Park in Houston, which the Rays are used to, but it's going to be different. And then you mentioned the fan element. There's going to be about 10,500, 11,000 fans or so here. I mean, is it going to rattle the Rays or anything? No, but it's different. I was here for Game 7 of the NL Championship Series the other night, and it was a decided Dodgers crowd versus the Braves, and I would expect the same here, where the Rays will have very little support. They are flying in a couple hundred team employees that the team is paying for to come in for these first couple games. I've heard from a few St. Pete people that are coming out, but I think it'll be a largely Dodgers crowd. So not just playing in front of a crowd, but probably being booed will also be different for the Rays, because that fake crowd noise cheers for everybody. But I think we're going to hear some boos tonight.
Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting how they handle that situation. Now switching to the matchup on the mound tonight, we got 2 stars, Tyler Glasnow, Clayton Kershaw going head-to-head. This is kind of a different role for Glasnow than we've seen throughout this postseason. His spot in the rotation has come up in games where they can potentially clinch. Now he's the one who's setting the tone, Game 1. How important is it for him to come out strong this game and have a good performance, especially when he's going up against 3 times Cy Young Award winner Clayton Kershaw?
And not to make Clayton Kershaw sound old, but Tyler Glasnow was in high school in Southern California, in the LA area, watching Clayton Kershaw pitch his first couple of years with the Dodgers. So, I mean, how could you relate to that? Like a young kid making their, mark on the big leagues kind of thing. But look, Tyler Glasnow, he pitched Game 2 when they clinched in the first round, like you said. He started on short rest in Game 5 after pitching earlier in the series against the Yankees. Then we saw him pitch during the championship series against the Astros with a chance to close it out, did not do it. But he's on full rest plus a day, which is a big difference here. In fact, the rotation set up really well for the Rays. Glasnow pitches tonight with extra rest. Snell pitches tomorrow in Game 2 on regular rest. And then Morton will pitch game 3 with also a benefit of an extra day's rest. So I think that helps the Rays quite a bit. Glasnow can be really, really good, as we know. We've seen him dominate, but he also can be erratic. And that's probably the bigger concern, just that he stay calm, that he not kind of, let the game speed up on him, not get caught up in the moment here. We have actually a running joke he and I do every Zoom interview. I ask him about the next start, and every interview he said he's going to treat it just like any other. And I keep telling him he's going to slip up one day, and he wouldn't even budge yesterday. He joked with me about it. He goes, "I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear." So it's worked for him to this point. But I do think, it's obvious in game 1, you need your starting pitcher to set a good tone. But I think in this case, just for him not to get caught up in the moment. I mean, not that if the Rays lose today, it's doom and gloom, but certainly him getting them deep into this game with a strong start would set a good tone for the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And switching to the other side of the ball now, offensively, the Rays kind of have a lineup where everyone in the lineup can hurt you at times, but lately that hasn't really been the case. Randy Arozarena has been carrying the team. Willie Adames even said to the media yesterday, he always asks Randy how he can walk because he's carrying the entire team on his back all the time. So it's well known Randy's been the star this postseason. But what do the rest of the Rays offense have to do to kind of step up and contribute some? And who are those players that really need to, come more to the forefront of things?
Yeah, I mean, look, they cannot continue to survive with just Arozarena doing all the work for them. They've got to get some support and some production from elsewhere in the lineup. And I think you're going to see the Dodgers pitch Arozarena a little differently, too, to make sure that he doesn't have those opportunities. I mean, it's pretty clear to them who they want to not let them beat them with. So to me, Brandon Lowe is the key guy. I mean, he was the team MVP during the season, couple hits in the first round, struggled terribly in the second round against the Yankees. Talked to him before the LCS round against the Astros. He said, I can't believe this happened. It's not going to happen again. I'm not going to let it happen again. It happened again. I mean, we saw him drop the bunt hit the other night against the Shift, and talking to him yesterday, it almost sounds like he's accepted that, he's not going to turn around his entire postseason. He's looking at this probably in a smart way, game by game, just do what he can, each game, each at bat, find a way to help the team. And I actually said, you think you'll bunt for hit again? He said, I might. I mean, if that's what the situation calls for, that's what I'm going to do. So I think he's smart enough to realize that he can't hit himself out of this slump and make up for a bad couple weeks in one game or two games. But on the other hand, Brandon Lowe getting hot would make a huge difference because he is a guy who can carry a team. And we've seen his career trend is he'll have some really cold spells, then he'll follow with some really, really hot spells. And obviously that would suit the Rays well. There's some other guys who could step up. Willie Adames, who's played great defense, hasn't done much. He's been pretty inconsistent offensively. Austin Meadows, I don't know, we'll see him tonight against Kershaw, but he's another guy who really hasn't done much. But you're right, they need to get that steady production. They haven't really had a rally. I mean, think of how they're scoring their runs. They're, for the most part, it's 2 hits or it's a home run, but they haven't had a rally where there's 3 or 4 hits, and a walk and a guy going first to third and that kind of thing. They haven't been able to play that kind of offense in a while, and they need to get that going.
Yeah, and maybe if all else fails, they can each get their own pair of cowboy boots, you think?
Yeah, I think the cowboy boots are going to be even more popular that we're here in Texas. I know Brent Honeywell was walking around on the field before the workout Monday night in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. And there's some rumors that Arozarena is going to get his own personalized pair of cowboy boots. So I imagine we'll see a little bit of a storyline coming out of here on that. And Brett Phillips got added to the roster. I don't know if he'll be able to use his whiteboard quite as much now because he actually has to pay attention to the game because he might actually get in.
Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a disappointment, honestly. But yeah, we'll see how the Rays do tonight. I know they're eager to come out firing in game 1. So Mark, thank you so much for the time. Everybody make sure you follow along with Mark on Twitter throughout tonight's game and the rest of the World Series. And also go to tampabay.com for all of your World Series coverage. And thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.